Good morning, everyone, and welcome to August Hall. It's very excited to see all of you here today. So, okay, let me get started, actually. As a very research-focused company, we spend a lot of our time thinking about what the future should look like and how we can pull it closer, make it real. A little while ago, we came up with something. It emerged from two different teams in the company, actually, almost at the same time. It felt incredibly powerful, and when we started to live in it, it all just fit. And today, I'm very excited to share that vision of the future with you. Today, I believe Luma will change how work is done. First, let's talk about the foundations. 2 years ago, the AI industry made a bet. The bet was that we should build a separate model for every capability. A language model, a vision model, a world model, a physics model, even an emotion model. And let's chain them together. And somehow you will get intelligence. I think it was a reasonable bet. But now we know it was a wrong bet. This is not really intelligence. This is plumbing. And we are wasting the most important technology that humans have ever produced on plumbing. There's a better way, and it has been worked on for millions of years. The human brain. The human brain has different regions, areas for language, for vision, for spatial reasoning. They were never built separately. They evolved together, and at birth, they are wired together through billions of complex neural connections. You cannot call them separate. They share context. They fire simultaneously. They think together as one. For example, when an architect sketches on a napkin, her hand is drawing a line, but her mind is simulating the load on the beam, the light through the window, what it feels like to stand in the room. She's seeing the building that doesn't exist yet. Left and right brain working together. This is really not a drawing task. This is general intelligence. So then the question becomes, what if we stopped building artificial intelligence in pieces and built it as one thing? This is what we call unified intelligence. Unified intelligence is logic and reasoning paired with physical accuracy and creativity. Unified models understand text, code, long-form video, speech, audio. They can reason and produce outputs in a combination of formats best suited to solve the problem. Quite like the human brain. We have been working towards this moment since Luma was founded. And today, we are introducing the very first model in this line of research. We are calling it Unified 1 or Uni 1. Uni 1 is built on unified intelligence architecture that we have been working on for a while now. It's a decoder-only autoregressive transformer that operates over a unified token space of text, images, and in the future, other modalities, all in the same thing. Text and images are created as first-class citizens in a single interleaved sequence, both as input and output. This architecture unlocks a very powerful capability. The model can think in language and imagine and render in pixels within the same forward pass, much like a human brain. So what does it actually feel like to use a model built on unified intelligence? 3 things: intelligent, directable, and cultured. Let me show you. I'm going to show you examples from our launch website that is actually live now. Let's first talk about intelligence. Today, we either have intelligent language models or image models that make pretty pictures. Because they're not really intelligent, using them requires about hundreds of attempts and learning prompt engineering. Each model has a different language that you need to learn. People end up, to solve this problem, making complex workflows. In the end, they're just trying to make up for the lack of intelligence of the model. That's not how we are doing things. Uni1 is not a generative model. It's a reasoning model that can generate. It thinks, it imagines, and it paints. And let me show you some examples of that. So this is a therapy cat. We need them sometimes. So this is a Uni1 generation, but it doesn't just generate that image. It is able to actually reason about the layers in which this is generated. All these layers are generated together with the right lighting, right composition, and then can be manipulated afterwards. Uni1 is able to reason about various different languages. And looks like someone tried to create an invitation for my next wedding. Not a good idea. She's sitting right there. Uni1 is able to understand what you're trying to tell it, research the information, and this leads to one of my favorite capabilities in Uni1, the ability to lay out complex information and make infographics. Here's an example of the forest food web, as you would imagine a grade school kid would draw and put together. What you see here is its ability to follow a very complex prompt. If you give it a huge amount of detail, again, this is not engineered as a prompt. You're just giving it details. Hey, I want this connected. I want this to happen. You also see live the chain of thought of the model and how it actually came to that conclusion. This is really important, and we'll see that in the directable section. Here's another example of the Renaissance of Atlanta, turning from this hippie strip into the modern art and culture place we know about, and how it came about. Uni1 understands many, many styles and layouts and produces infographics very appropriate to the topic at hand. And here's something I absolutely love. Its ability to reason spatially and think in 3D. So what we asked it to do is imagine what this empty room would look like if it belongs to a very messy, anime-obsessed teenage gamer girl with a lot of posters and toys. Once you have a chance to check it out, it's really important to pay attention to the details here. The room layout is exactly as it is in the image, with all these really complex nooks and crannies and curves, and you see the output. This intelligence shows up in many, many areas, and you should go explore, including temporal spaces. But let's go to the next thing. Because Uni1 actually understands what it's making, you can direct it the way you would direct a person, with intent and not instructions. Yeah? Show it your work, tell it what you want, and it gets it. So here are some examples. This one is a little wild, but let's start with first my favorite one. These are 3 dogs in the Luma team. That's Ollie, that's Midgie, and I'm forgetting the name of this one. But here we gave it reference images of these 3 animals, a logo of Luma, as well as some of our teammates graduating from Stanford. And its job was to actually create a layout for it. And of course, standing before a whiteboard with scientific diagrams and text with Luma logo and placed on it. Uni1 basically is able to reason through very complex setups and things that are extremely divergent. Current image models actually completely collapse on these kind of tasks, because when you ask it to merge varied styles and varied distributions, it doesn't really go very well. But Uni1 is able to take it and produce really, really great outputs. One of my favorite ones is visual instruction. So here is the Tower of Hanoi, if you're familiar with the game. We asked it to generate an image that would show this move in the Tower of Hanoi simulation. Be very explicit about any text visible in your graphic. And we gave it reference code. It ran the reference code, computed the state, and produced the right outcome. And finally, its ability to manipulate styles, materials, and structure continues to impress us, and I believe will you as well. All right. Now let's talk about my favorite section, actually. General intelligence isn't just about being accurate. It needs taste. It needs to know which subsection of good things are good. It knows not just what's correct, but what's beautiful. And taste cannot be added later. It has to be trained in. And we trained it in. So let me show you. Unione understands a huge array of styles. This is Midgie again, Angela's cat. And Unione is able to take high-level instruction and produce huge variations while keeping it very consistent and constant. For instance, long exposure. What would it look like if this was at night and we asked it to do long exposure? Now, my favorite one is the Egyptian hieroglyphics, because they're 2D, and the question becomes, how do you actually draw that? And Unione does actually a really, really incredible job, even with all the materials and appliances that you would not have otherwise. Now, what's really interesting is because of its ability to follow instructions and learn, you can teach it your style, and Unione will actually adhere to it in a very good way. It does extremely well across manga, memes, this is my favorite one. This is, of course, I'm sure you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So this is Sam from our team. And produces great quality aesthetics, which we will explore further on. So that's Unione. Unione is intelligent, directable, and cultured. But that's intelligence. Now, how do you work with it? Yeah, it's a model. How do you work with it? The question we asked ourselves is, what would creative work actually look like in the age of unified intelligence? When you have this amount of power, how do you work with it? So we didn't stop at Unione. For the past year at Luma, we have been thinking very deeply about it. And for hundreds of millions of people who create, design, build things for a living, this work spans across text files, designs, blueprints, photos, videos, audio, and even in the physical world. These are creatives who make movies, build brands, produce legendary ads we remember forever, and drive nearly every pixel we encounter on our screens. These are teachers and educators who help the next generation learn about our world. These are entrepreneurs, analysts, corporate teams that need to communicate their idea to drive progress. But AI for such work today looks like a mess. You're expected to carry around context in all these different files. Each tool only partially understands the context and what you're trying to do, and you keep prompting until something kind of sort of works. And then we see it on Twitter. The best solution right now that people have come up with is the spaghetti of nodes, which we call node monsters at Luma. And people call these workflows, right? Issue is, these are brittle. Creative work is never exactly the same. Even the simplest tasks never exactly run the same way. We hear from our customers that they spend more time building the tooling than actually using it. All of these issues make the current workflows fundamentally unscalable. And you know why? Because there's really nothing intelligent here. It's plumbing. Introducing Luma Agents, AI collaborators with unified intelligence. These can perform end-to-end creative work and be a part of your team. Let's take a look.
Creative ambition is expanding, but the creative process hasn't changed. But what if the process finally caught up? Imagine a new kind of collaborator. You set the direction. They scale execution with you. Creative agents that understand the physical world. See what comes next. Explore more possibilities. Collaborate with other creatives. Ideas multiply. And what once took weeks happens in moments.
That's Luma Agents. Let me tell you a little bit about them. So there are 5 things to note about them. They're built with unified intelligence, infinite multimodal context. They're able to do self-evaluations. They support multiplayer collaboration. And finally, all these things come together to allow end-to-end task completion. Let's talk about unified intelligence. Luma Agents produce work that understand the world. Accurate lighting, real physics, coherent spaces, believable materials. This is possible because they have access to nearly every creative tool imaginable. Image generation, video, audio, code generation, 3D simulation, search, analysis, planning, math. And it's all brought to action by the one agent. It's the only one you will ever need. Next, creative agents, generally no problem happens because you're trying to carry information across from every tool to the other. Every AI tool today sees things one prompt at a time and then immediately forgets about it. No idea what you're actually trying to do. Luma agents see everything, your entire project across every modality, every image, every video, every document, revision, script that you have ever made. All of it and all at once. You don't prompt your teammates, you talk to them. They remember. That's how Luma works. This means the best person to work with Luma agents isn't a prompt engineer. It's your best creatives and the people who know your business. It's not sufficient to just do the work. Luma agents can actually look at what they made and judge it. Does it match the lighting in the reference? Is the composition balanced? Does this feel on brand? Is it physically accurate? This is what made coding agents as powerful as they are. It's not generation of code, it's evaluation and running the code. When they spot issues, they will automatically try to fix the problem using every tool at their disposal. They learn from your preferences and past decisions, so you can teach them what good looks like. This makes Luma a teammate that learns and grows and gets better and more efficient over time. Next is multiplayer collaboration. Creative work is never done solo. Luma agents are built from the ground up for multiplayer. Your team and AI agents working on the same board at the same time. Your team can split up. One person art directing hero shots, another refining copy, another building a video. All on the same board, all with agents, all sharing the same context. So all of these capabilities come together into what we call task completion. You give Luma agent a brief. It plans the work, breaks it into steps, generating across formats, evaluating its work along the way, and comes back to you when it needs your eye. You guide the things, it builds it. Not one image, but a campaign. Not a draft, but finished work. So let's take a look what that actually looks like. All right, so we're going to take a look at Luma agents for the first time. So I'll walk you through what this board is and what we're doing here, but let me actually tell you what I'm trying to do here. So I love working with people in person. I love working with our customers, and this means I fly a lot. So it would be really, it's such a miss that we actually don't have the Concorde anymore. Wouldn't it be great to fly around the planet at Mach 2? So, let's imagine what a Concorde built in 2026 will look like. All right, so what you see here is what we call a board. This is the place you collaborate with your creative agents. Here is chat. Language is a universal interface, and this is where you talk to your agents. You can ask for specific tools here when you're trying to do something, or you can completely work in high level, which is how we have found most people to actually be using Luma agents. All of this work happens in the board right here. This is not arranged or done by a person. This is all generated by the agent. Most frequently used tools are also available right down here in the toolbar. That includes things for making specific kind of modalities, but also for drawing, editorial, and as well as documents. So let's work on our Concorde revival, all right? So I asked the agents, imagine Concorde, a supersonic passenger plane, but made in 2026. Design it and show me 20 ideas. Here is what it came up with. As it starts to work, it will actually go through the full thinking process, create a plan, and then execute it. You can actually follow through. You can ask it in the middle and interrupt it to do something different. It came up with these ideas. I don't particularly like those, but this one is just epic. This is, I think, how it would look like. But paint in airplanes generally adds to weight, so we'll have to solve that problem later. You also see one other example here. You see this thumbs down emoji on the asset. This is the agent itself evaluating AI artifacts on the cockpit. Lumpy fuselage lacks sharpness, right? And I think when we look at it, that's very true. Like, this doesn't look like any kind of aerodynamic thing that would ever fly. Luma agents are able to go and look at extreme degree of detail in high resolution. Here's another example where we actually created butterfly wings or some kind of wings. And the agent correctly rejected that because I don't think that's going to work out. All right, so we really like that plane. But we just have a plane. I can't actually take it on or take on it. So I asked it, OK, show me the plane from every angle. Like, this looks very good, but how does it look when we actually look at it from the front, from the top? And I think this is actually the winner, right? I mean, this looks absolutely sick. I don't think we are at the level of accuracy where we can design the plane, but we'll get there, definitely. But this looks pretty good, right? Good enough to send to someone and bug them to make the next Concorde. All right, so we have a plane, but now we need to do the work of actually commercializing it and materializing it. OK, so this plane is it. Now help me launch an airline. And I'm going to call it FTL, faster than light. Design beautiful livery for it and how it would look in the terminal. That's pretty much all the input and all the instructions. And Luma agents basically start from thinking about, OK, how would the boarding passes look? How would you try to actually position the brand and things like that. And then that brand appears on the plane. Consistent, but also trying different ideas. This is how the airport appears. We're still in ideation phase. Now, we are here. OK, we have some semblance of an airline. We have a plane. But we still need to tell the world about it, right? So let's do something here. So I'm going to ask it, now let's tell the world about it. Design a full-scale campaign for Instagram and billboards. And we'll let it do its job. In the meantime, we have to figure out how to pay for it. I think this is going to be very, very expensive. So I had an idea. NVIDIA went public in '99. So I was like, what if, because we can go faster than light now, that means we can travel back in time. So what if we could go back in time? So I gave Luma agents a 100-page investor prospectus for that NVIDIA issued during its take public. And I asked them, hey, create a detailed 20-minute presentation using this info and nothing else for an institutional investor considering participating in take public. Use professional banking-style presentations. It turned on that for a bit and worked through about 100 pages of the documentation. And this is what it came up with. Now, it's really important to ask it to use nothing else, otherwise it will go search on the web and immediately tell me, buy it, right? Which is a problem. You see the capability of Luma agents in not just rendering the pixels. Pixels are just a medium, like words are just a medium of conveying information. When you combine intelligence with pixels, you get the ability to do things like this. You get the ability to convey detailed information that generally people would spend weeks actually making these kind of things. I looked through pretty much all of these, verified it personally and using a bunch of things. It was fully accurate, but I still won't claim that you should use this for investment. But we kind of ran into a logical problem, actually, because this was '99, and if you're following time travel correctly, I would be about 9 years old. So I wouldn't be able to buy this stock. So then I asked agents to make it like I'm a 9-year-old trying to convince my parents to buy the NVIDIA stock. And this is what it came up with. We need to buy NVIDIA stock, please. What even is NVIDIA, right? I don't think my parents would know at that time. But I think this would convince them. OK, we can go back to FTL if things are OK. We started giving access to people, so things might be getting slow now. But what you see here is I asked it to start producing campaigns, and it started work on all of those things at the same time. Now, I want to point out something very critical. Currently, if you're used to using AI tools, by the way, if you don't use AI tools, this all looks like rocket science, right? Like, this is all crazy. This is awesome that you can make all of this already. But if you're used to using AI tools, you would have been prompting for every single image, figuring out how to get the right composition, what to do with the prompt. Here, I didn't actually even carry the reference. The model understands what I'm trying to do. The agents understand what I'm trying to accomplish, take the right references, and produce entire campaigns. I mean, of course, we will not make it live. There's a lot of editorial work necessary on it. But able to get me great ideas on what this should actually look like. Now departing JFK. All right. OK, I will let it finish. I want to show you something else in the meantime. This was just me playing with Luma Agents. But when we give creatives, great creatives, access to Luma, things kind of go crazy. Finally, Luma Agents are available starting today, and we'll bring the whole Luma Agent platform to enterprises across the world very soon, where you can build and integrate them into your own systems. OK, today we started out with a question. What if you stopped building intelligence in pieces and built it as one thing? Today, you've seen the answer. Unified intelligence, Uni One, Luma Agents, and the first wave of partners and creators already building with them. This is not a vision. It's here. And we're just getting started. I am deeply, deeply grateful to the Luma team who made this all possible, to our partners, our investors, and for all of you for being a part of this today. Thank you very much.